Everybody swear they solid till you put that heat on nice. We was taught to shine, now we looking like the city lights. Heard that boy was switching up, tell him he gon' need advice. If you still around, you still by me, yeah, you did me right. And I told him that's a strong bet. Whole team winning, yeah, we all set.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. It's been a while since we've done any type of work on the boat in the garage, but I've got some updates in mind. So as you can see, got the seat out of the boat. We're also doing some work here in the back. So the work we're doing here in the back is we're going to swap out our 12-gallon tank for a 6-gallon tank. With how I'm using the boat, I'm just not going through a whole lot of fuel. So the 12-gallon tank's really overkill. And the 6 gallons, probably a better fit. That way I keep fresh fuel versus having fuel that's in there for months on end. And with doing that, I'm gonna free up a lot of space here in the back that I can use for additional storage. Also, my milk crate mount for the 12-gallon tank broke on me. I had the ratchet strap attached there, and the pressure of it over time caused that to crack. The supports I have underneath it are plastic wood, composite wood, fake wood, I don't know what you call that. I'm probably not going to go back with the milk crate. I'm probably just going to run some more slats across this and just use this material as it's much stronger, and mount the ratchet strap here with some rings or something like that. The other major repair we've got going on is going to be to the actual seat. As you can see, this is the bench seat that comes from the factory, and I had my white seat, my white cushion seat, bolted into this and screwed into the actual bench, which worked well. The bench is on backwards, so it hinges this way, and obviously when you're sitting on the bench with the seat that I had on there, it goes back this way. To prevent it from going up in this way, I had these small tabs attached to the back of this, and they screwed into the back of the bench here just to prevent the seat from coming up. Doesn't seem like it would be that strong, but it actually turned out to be really, really good. So I'll probably reattach the seat once I get it repaired. Speaking of repairs, the seat itself also needs repairs. I never really intended for this seat to last for more than a season or two. It actually surprised me that it has held up as good as it has. It was never in great shape. The vinyl is cracking in a lot of places, and the underside of it was always deteriorating. Not sure how this seat is made, how it's put together, but the wood was always rotten in the corners, and there's some sort of metal inside that has been rusting since we got it, and the rusty pieces of metal just fall out of the seat and all into the bottom of the boat. For those that don't remember, I'll throw up a short clip here of how the seat looked when it was in the boat. I fabricated this plastic piece here to bolt to the bottom, to screw to the bottom of the seat to the bench lid itself, and that's what held it in place. So my plan is to take the seat to Mr. Friendly, my upholsterer. He did the upholstery in Pepe in my mini truck, and it turned out phenomenal. But I did go back and check out his webpage, and I also know that he does some boat upholstery work as well, so we're gonna give him a shot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back with the original white vinyl. It was the only white in the boat. The boat is light gray. I've tried to trim it out somewhat with the lines, everything else in a navy blue. So it's got a light gray navy blue motif. So we may end up asking Mr. Friendly to reupholster the seat with maybe some navy blue piping or navy blue stitching in as well. So my plan is to take the seat to Mr. Friendly, and I'll bring you guys along and show you his shop, and hopefully he'll let me film a bit of the discussion, and we'll also get the before and after. got it out of a junkyard. It came out of maybe a pontoon boat or something like that. It's got all this rot that's in it.
I need to take everything apart, see if I can save anything, or if I have to build a new one complete.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Let me have your number. You want to leave it?
Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna leave it. Take as much time as you need, no rush.
Before I do anything, I'll need to take it apart and see.
Okay.
I'll call you probably first part next week, because this week I'm really busy. I need to take it apart and I'll give you a price for labor, and hopefully, well, I'll let you know.
Okay, absolutely. No problem, thank you.
Where you want, like a stripe, or?
I leave it to your opinion, because you're the expert. I know you know. You do good work. I mean, this is beautiful what you did here, so.
Okay, I'll figure it out and give you a price for everything.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I'll see you.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, thanks. I see what you mean. No, I see what you mean now.
And
It's like a loop frame there and probably a loop frame in there too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's trash.
And this is not a problem. Plywood, I can cut it.
Yeah.
The problem is this.
And it's looped, so you gotta have a pipe bender and all that good stuff. And right.
How much you pay for that one?
About $75.
Beyond repair, huh?
Well beyond. I knew something was wrong because you could see these pieces. They would fall out of the bottom of the seat all the time. All right, guys, as you saw in the last part of the video, the seat was beyond repair. In real time, it's been about 3 months since we've done any work on the boat. And in that time, we did get this new seat. So I got the seat on Amazon. It's called a Smitty Built Fold and Tumble Rear Seat. I got it in charcoal. It's actually for a Jeep CJ. I think it's like the rumble seat that goes in the back. And also, from the beginning of the video, I talked to you guys about how I was going to do the fuel area here. So I ended up simplifying the fuel area pretty easy. I think I've mentioned in other videos where I've got these boards, and they're basically synthetic lumber, plastic lumber. So I cut those into shape. I think these are like 2x3. It was a 2x3x8. So as I cut the 8-foot section down, made a little bracing system back here. And as mentioned before, switched out to the 6-gallon tank versus the 12-gallon tank. And with the synthetic lumber, I just got it braced in, cut it to measure. I don't have the PVC pipes down on either side. I can put that in if I want this to be a little more firm. It's actually being held down here on this side by my services pipe, the pipe that I've showed you guys in other videos. That's got the steering cable and throttle control and all the engine electrics. Just comes easily in and out. Far simpler way to keep the fuel tank from moving around back here. Opens up a lot of space. I may put the PVC wedges on either side to keep this in place. So far, this is all I need. So for 3 months, I had this sitting in the garage and I just really didn't know what I wanted to do with it. The seat comes with hardware, obviously for attaching it into a vehicle, into a Jeep. And of course, we're not putting it into a vehicle. And so I believe these go on either side of your Jeep, and the seat, swings down, latches in place. But obviously we're not gonna put these heavy steel components into our install. So I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna put it in. These two pins go into holes that are here. Once this piece would be attached to your vehicle, this is where it would hinge. So it would pivot on this side as well as on the other side on this point. And then up top is where you have your latching mechanism. So in order to fold the seat forward, you'd be able to unhinge that and it would pivot on those points if it were in the vehicle. For our installation, if I were to try to use those pivot points, I would have to screw it into the actual Whaly seat and it would pivot this way. I've got this bench seat installed, same as I did with the Junkyard Love seat, so that the door opens this way. I did it for that reason, so the bench is essentially in the boat backwards. That way when I sit on it, because I'm going to screw into either the bench top, I tried not to screw into the actual bench. Screwing into the bench top actually worked pretty well because as I'm sitting, the weight for me is going that way, not with the hinge, if that makes any sense for you guys. The hinge is going this way, I'm putting the weight that way, so I'm essentially hard closing it every time I sit down. I want to keep that same setup for this. So here's what I did. Where these hinges would pivot here, I simply took some of this 2x3 synthetic fiber plastic, and I think it was exactly 22 or 29 inches in between, and I measured it out exactly to put a piece of board in between to just give me a flat surface in the front, and just put in some galvanized bolts with washers on either side. So that's now flat and holding on that end. On the back side, they have these two legs on either side, here and over there, and on those legs were these rubber bumpers. Same with the 2x3 synthetic fiber, synthetic lumber. I actually found around my junky tool area over here some bolts that fit that thread pattern. So measured this out to be wider than the bench, so that when this is down, the weight of the bench, and I made it wide enough so that it's on the actual side panel of the boat. So that front piece that is in between the hinge plates is resting on the bench, and that's what I'm going to screw into the actual bench top. The weight of me sitting on it is going to then transfer to this leg back here in the back. So my plan is to, right here on the hinge side of the bench, and the bench lid, same as with the love seat, I'm just gonna put some bolts through there. I'm gonna attach it to this front leg piece right down into the bench there. If I need later, if I find that that's not enough, what I'll do is I'll connect these two, and I'll put a crossbar here and a crossbar there, and then I'll attach that through bolts, either again on the lid where the love seat was, or out here on the actual bench. But I wanted to keep the bench itself much easier, I guess, to get access to those bolts to attach. But the love seat, I had no problem with it attached just to this lid. This will be a little different, where it'll only just be attached to the front. But I think it's okay because the weight, again, is going to be supported across the back. So it won't pivot this way. The plan is, with the bench itself, the bench lid itself, it'll pivot forward. But the other cool thing about this seat, as I showed you guys here in the back, where it had the latch as if it were attached inside of a Jeep to pivot forward. That is doing nothing for us now. It's not attached to anything. But I think before you would activate that, you would do this and fold the seat down. So that's another option for us now. Is I don't know when or why or how I would actually fold that down, but I guess if I were doing something in the back of the boat, I can fold this down, and now I can sit on the back of this while I do things back here. But also that's going to help us to bring the whole thing forward. So what we'll do is we'll fold this down, and now with the bench lid attached, once I pull this forward, it should be pulling forward on the bench lid like that. So that's the plan. I'll put some through bolts here, attaching it to here, And I won't do it very often, I think, but then when we roll the seat forward, the door will open and I have access to the top of the bench as well. So the only thing left to do after the work I did this week of installing these two legs, this in between those pivot pins, those hinge pins, and this in the back, is just attaching some bolts here and attaching it to there. So that's what we'll do next. All right, what I'm doing here is I'm gonna find the center point. I think I said 22 or 29 inches. It's 23 and a half from end to end. So 11 3/4 will be the center point here. We'll measure on the bench itself and we'll mark a center point there. That way we can make sure that we've got the bench exactly centered on top of the actual bench seat before we attach it. That's what we're doing. Okay, now that we've got those two center marks lined up, as it is in the boat, I don't have any hesitations with taking the actual lid off and doing that install with the lid off, putting the lid on here, then dropping the whole thing back down and putting the very small but unbelievably strong hinge screws that are in the actual bench. That'll basically hold it all together. Remarkably, that's how we had it with the other seat, so we're gonna attempt it again. I'll show you these two screws that come out of the actual lid that you wouldn't think would be holding all of that, but I didn't have any problems with the last seat. It didn't budge. And if we need to, we can, again, put further supports and bolt it in a lot stronger later. We just won't have our pivotability anymore. So that's one of the two screws that holds the bench seat in place. Not very large for the job it's doing. So again, I'm going to screw, thinking 4 bolts across this part, which is where it'll hinge. And of course the weak link will be those 2 screws that go here. But as you're sitting on the bench, you're just preventing this from going this way. All the weight is on the back bar, and the pivot weight of you sitting on that is just stopping this from rising. And this is very solid. Has been very solid. We will now attach that to here. With this off, you can now see again where the over there, but where those 2 pins go in would go in there, and that would be the hinge in a vehicle, in a Jeep. And then this is now going to get attached to the door. I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but you've got a junk area or a junk drawer full of bolts and washers, stainless galvanized, all kinds of goodies, and you get the projects like this and you mix and match and you try to figure out, do I need to go to the hardware store, or can I make this happen with things that I have left over from other projects? So far this has been a 0 hardware store run project. We'll do a combination of small washer, large washer for the bench side, and I think small washer on the lumber side. That's how we'll attach. We've got 4 large washers, and I will need 8 of these smaller ones, and 4 bolts, and 4 nylock nuts. There's our hardware sorted. So we're gonna put 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in here for these bolts to go through. There. Get our hardware, bolt, small washer, through threads, big washer, little washer, nylock nuts. So yeah, that is, by the way, attached now with those 2 bolts. We'll put maybe 1 more, just 1 more in the middle. I was gonna go with 4, but I'm gonna go with 1 more right in the middle. We'll tighten these down, and of course that's then gonna go there and there. That is those 3 tightened down. Has warped the plastic, as you can see. Didn't think about that. Oh, like a glove. Like a glove. Now we attach this back to here through the ends. Now attached, and we can go down. All that being held in place by these 2 little screws. I know. I don't like it visually, but it held before. Hopefully it holds again. Moment of truth. Let's look back in.
Oh, wow. Looks more professional than with others.
But the other one was cute.
Yeah, cute.
Wifey approves. But as you guys can see, my proof of concept, it does pivot on that seat. It doesn't go as far forward as we did without it. But yeah, if I need to get access inside, I'll bring the camera around and show you guys on this side as well. But if we need to, we can absolutely get into the seat this way. Those 2 little screws are holding it from going this way, so the real test there is as you put your weight on it back, but it's the same as I had before. That's in. I can shock it back and we're good. I can, with my foot, put weight backwards and I'm not going back. I mean, I'm not trying to break it. That's me putting weight and pressure back that way, which I wouldn't normally do. And that seat's in place. And fold down function. Just enough room there for your knees to get into the back here. Pardon the view. And then from inside the boat, able to tip that up and get to the harder stuff down there. Probably if I'm in the back, I need to get to the storage. Thing that I would maybe modify is the angle here. The angle of these brackets as they came down makes this board here sit at an angle. So this is kind of on that edge. It's kind of on the point there. Maybe I would shave that so that it's flush with the angle of the seat here. But plastic on plastic, I think it's going to be okay. It will definitely chafe a point here over time, just as that's rubbing. But that's the pressure as you're sitting on the seat. Definitely is going down right there. Perhaps maybe put a pad underneath here, some sort of rubber pad, chafing pad or something, so that it doesn't chafe the hull itself. Some bit of sacrificial plastic or rubber underneath there, or cut the angle, or both. Well, those are our modifications this winter for Polygon. Again, the mount back here holding the fuel, swapped out from 12 gallon to 6 gallon, and the new seat modification. I hope you guys have enjoyed the My Whaly boat series here. Again, these videos are few and far between, as I don't do modifications on the boat that often these days. But please join me in the Polygon fishing series as well, as the channel is now named Polygon Fishing. Of course, the name of the boat is Polygon because if she ain't in the garage, I'm Polygon Fishing.
While you're taking a shower, if there's one thing I know, there is power in ordinary love, ordinary love. Don't you ever
I hope you liked the video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button for me. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys next time, either in the garage or on the water. Thanks for joining me.